Let's talk about expository quickwrites. What is a quickwrite, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. A quickwrite is a way to start a paper. The writer quickly gets a few ideas down on the paper and then decides if the paper is worth finishing or not. In other words, it's kind of a way to brainstorm to make sure you've got enough to say in your paper and that you kind of have a plan before you actually start writing. In this lesson, you will write 2 expository quickwrites. And because these are quickwrites, each step in the process will be timed to make sure that you are writing quickly. Here's how it works. First, you will read the prompt and decide on an idea. You'll have 2 minutes of thinking time to get that idea in your head. Then, you'll have 3 minutes to create a thesis statement. Make sure that it's focused and interesting. After that, you have 5 minutes to create a bulleted list of the ideas you will write about in this paper. That's right, 2 minutes for the idea, 3 minutes for the thesis statement, 5 minutes to create your bulleted, brainstormed list. In other words, read the prompt and think of an idea, write a thesis, and create a bulleted list, all in 10 minutes. Let's break it down to show you what you're going to do in each part. First, read the prompt and think of an idea. Remember, you have 2 minutes to do this portion. The prompt says, "I don't have time for hobbies. At the end of the day, I treat my job as a hobby. It's something I love doing." That's a quote from David Beckham. Write an essay explaining the importance of doing something you enjoy. During this think time, it might be a good idea to employ a mind map, such as this one, to develop ideas quickly. You can see that the person who did this put activities in a bubble in the middle, and then put reading, knitting, and jazzercise as her 3 main categories. She said reading increases intelligence and vocabulary. She does it for entertainment, and she gets better at writing by reading. She knits, and she says it benefits others. It's social. Her friends knit too. And it's relaxing. It's as beneficial as yoga. And jazzercise, she says, is a great exercise. It's good for the body and good for the brain. It's a fun stress relief, and it too is a social activity. Now that you've had 2 minutes to think, it's time to spend 3 minutes writing your thesis. Remember that your thesis is the focal sentence of your entire paper. It's something that you're trying to prove, and it should be interesting and thoughtful. Here's what our writer came up with. It is important to participate in activities for a variety of reasons. Activities can benefit you personally, and depending on the activity, it can benefit others. Participating in knitting benefits me and others. You've probably noticed this is a little bit more than a thesis. It's sort of more like an introduction, going from the broad topic down to something very specific. Participating in knitting benefits me and others, and that is her actual thesis statement. Now, the final 5 minutes of the quickwrite are for creating a bulleted list. Here's what our writer came up with. Knitting is an activity I enjoy. Her first bullet point is relaxing. And then she elaborates on that. It is beneficial because it relaxes me and relieves stress. She also says she enjoys knitting because it's social. It gets me out, working with others, having fun. Finally, she says knitting benefits others. I use my skill to knit for charity. Socks for troops, caps for babies in the NICU, that's the neonatal intensive care unit. So she's got some pretty good ideas here. If she has more time in this 5 minutes, she could flesh out some of those activities. In fact, I'd like to see a little bit more about the social aspect of this, how it gets her out working with others, having fun. Who are these people that she knits with? Where does she see them? Do they knit in groups together, or do they just talk about knitting? Maybe they go shop for yarn. I want to know more. Let's look now at an example of what an expository quickwrite will look like when finished. You can see that the first part of this is just thinking, and there's not necessarily a space where you have to write anything down, but remember you are free to do a little bit of brainstorming or mind mapping to help you think of a good idea. Part 2 is the thesis, focused and interesting, and so this one has one actually about the GPS. Though people's lives have been greatly affected by technologies, one particular technology that has changed people's lives for the better is Global Positioning Systems, also called GPS. And then the final section, you create a bulleted list of ideas for the essay. The writer explains, I will write about the ways that GPS can be used in serious situations, like to find yourself when you are lost in the woods or in traffic. Then, I will write about the ways that GPS can identify your location in photographs, on a smartphone or regular digital camera. And finally, I will tell about the time that my uncle and I found a good fishing spot and marked it with GPS coordinates. It looks like this writer's made a pretty good start for his paper. Are you ready to try it on your own? Remember that if you're unsure of the directions, go back and watch this presentation again. Good luck and enjoy your pre-writes and come up with some amazing and brilliant ideas.